Hey guys, today we're going to do a repair on a shop vac. This is not a video that I would normally do. However, I've seen a lot of videos out there that are showing people how to repair their shop vac by using an improper fuse. So I wanted to make this video to kind of show people that that is not the right way to do it. The way I'm going to show you today is the correct way to do this. Just for reference, this is a shop vac model K200-C. It's 120 volt, 60 hertz, 7.5 amps. This should actually be able to be used on other shop vacs. So anyway, I'm gonna take this apart, show you guys how I diagnosed it to start with, and then I'll show you my repair. That way you guys can see everything that we're doing here today. Pull this guy off. First thing we'll do is take the filter off, which is pretty simple. We're going to use this little guy. This is a 7/64. This is not the correct tool to use for these guys. However, it does work. And the reason I'm using it is that's the only way I can get down to these screws down here. Just for the handle here, just to pull that off. Okay, after that, we're going to use a T25 Torx bit. And this extension to remove all the other screws for this model. There are 4 screws up top here. And make sure you put these in a knife safe place so you don't lose them. Once those are out, this just pops right off. Make sure you know exactly how this goes back in place. That open end goes towards the bottom there. Now we've got a couple bolts here, screws here, and then there's 2 bolts down here to hold the cord in place. There's going to be some more bolts underneath once we get this top piece off. Keep calling them bolts, but I guess they're screws technically. So that piece pops off right there. And once again, there's 1, 2, 3. And that's why we have this long extension, which makes it easy. And those 3 screws, make sure you don't lose them there, but they hold this top piece on. And these 2 screws have to come out as well. Just gotta hold on to this disc. Try not to cut yourself because it is sharp, but the nut really isn't on there very tight. So I'm gonna remove that. Make sure you keep an eye on this washer. Put that in the same place. Keep this upright so you know which way it goes back on, because there are little fins over here that direct the air as this spins, so you want it to go back on the same way. And then there is a washer here that you have to put back in place, so I'm gonna set that under there so I know to put that back in place. Oh, and here's one for you. There's a little washer here that goes down that I almost lost. That goes right there to hold this bigger washer up off the plastic. So make sure you don't lose that. Turn that upside down. I almost lost it. There are a couple screws here as well. We're going to take those out. And once those are removed, then this comes off. And you have your motor. So now we can show you how I diagnosed this to find out what the issue was. So here's my public service announcement for this. Here's a 15 amp fuse that I dug out that I had extra. It's a DC fuse, and this is an AC device, so we do not want to use this permanently. This was for diagnostic purposes only, but the thing is, there are at least several other videos out there that show this, that they're kind of touting this to be a permanent fix, which it is definitely not. So do not use this DC fuse for this AC product. What you need is a thermal fuse. Got this on Amazon, 121 degrees Celsius thermal fuse. I think that's about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. This is rated for 10 amp. This shot back is 7.5 amps. So you typically need a fuse that's about 25% higher amperage rating. So that's why I went with a 10 amp. And it's rated for 250 volts. This is a 120 volt device. So now we're going to use the voltage meter so I can show you how I did the original diagnostic on it. We're going to put the black into the COM and the red into this side over here, and then turn it to ohms, which is that little guy right there. And now whenever we touch these together, it'll tell us that electricity is feeding through from one side to the other. So the first thing you want to check is either the cord or the switch. The switch, if you touch one of these connectors here to one over here, you can see there is no beeping sound. Same thing goes over here on this side. But when I turn the switch on from underneath, now we get connection. So the switch is good. If you have a bad switch, then just replace it. They sell those online. Now we're going to test the cord. All right, to test the cord, we're going to put the connector on one side, and then this one to the other connector, and then also the ground right here to the ground, which is over here. So ground wire coming out there is the green. So the cord perfectly fine, no issues there. So a couple more things you can check on this motor if you don't think it's the thermal fuse for whatever reason, is each winding. There's two windings, one on this side, one on the other, and you can easily check that with the ohm meter by taking your probes, and that shows that this winding is good. And do the same thing on the other side here. Connect it to this guy right here, boop, and over here. And you can see that that winding is also good. There's no breaks in the winding anywhere. One other thing I had inadvertently left out was you may want to check these two leads that run to the motor from the switch. And typically these aren't going to go bad, but you can check them with your probes. Just put one probe here to the motor connection here, and then do the same for this other lead. And you can check to make sure that those are still viable. And probably the last thing then that you're going to have to look at is the thermal fuse block, which is right here. And it's got these two connectors that go into it. And this is where I had that 15 amp fuse stuck in there. So whenever you put your probes on either side, you should have a connection there. You should have a beep, and that is not happening. Put the fuse back in. There we go. And we have connection. So then when we take this out, this was a little hard to get out, but these top two pieces come out of here. Just kind of be careful that you don't break the wires, but those just slide right down in there. You can see that there's a little spring clip right in here. So when this connector goes in, it catches on that and holds that in place. Well, there was a little piece, it just looked like a little bar actually. That was the thermal fuse that went right through there and connected one side to the other, and that little thermal fuse melted. It's not going to really look like the thermal fuse that we're going to use, but we are going to put the new thermal fuse right here in this area because that's where it needs to live in order to detect the heat coming out of the motor. If it's not sitting right there, then the thermal fuse won't blow, and this may eventually get so hot that it catches fire. It got so hot on this one side that it burnt that connection. So it's not so much the amperage that we're concerned with here. We want this to detect how hot it gets. This fuse here is not rated for a thermal capacity. It's not going to blow like an AC rated thermal So what temperature will a 15 amp DC fuse melt at? It will melt anywhere from 240 Celsius to over 1000 degrees Celsius, which is 460 degrees Fahrenheit to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. And that all depends on the type of metal that is used inside that fuse. So it can be either tin, lead, zinc, or copper, and there are all the different temperatures. So you definitely don't want to use this in your shop vac. All right, we're going to snip this lead here. Snip this guy off. So this has a coating on it. Kind of hard to see, but if you take your ohm meter again, you're getting nothing because it's got that coating. So you got to strip that coating off before you put your butt connector on. So to do that, we're just going to use a razor blade and kind of gently remove that coating. You see it's a little shinier now. There you go. And I think I'll trim the leads on this thermal fuses. They're a little long. Got to leave enough for that butt connector though. So probably that's good there. Now it makes me wonder if I shouldn't remove that. Probably be a good idea. It's a lot harder to get off than I was expecting. There we go. Let's cut this off ahead of time. All right, so I'm good and tight. Let's check the connection. I can put the probe in here and in here. That should work. There we go. Okay, so now I got to figure out how to get this to stay right here. And I'm thinking maybe I could use a zip tie. Yeah, there we go. I got one on this side. It's much better. And I'm just going to do the same on this side. Just wrap it around and get it snug. Yep, that's perfect. So to get this back together, this gets a little more difficult when you go to put this back on. You have to actually lift this out of the housing a little bit. Pro tip, if you have this particular model, the ground wire right there that connects to the connector on the motor, the wires tends to slip off of that connection whenever this goes down into this plastic housing. You definitely want to keep that intact. So I just used some electrical tape and taped it right there to the body of the motor. So we're going to line up where the electrical cord goes there and there. Look for those 2 screw holes. Try to line that up. Actually ended up taking that all the way out of there. Get the screws in place. Just like that. And then this just snaps back in place here before we put the screws back in. All right. It's so nice to have a shop vac back again, especially when we have a couple furry friends. It's definitely something we need up and running at all times.